Welcome back to the Proof It's Possible series. Today's guest has 27 plus years of experience as a massage therapist, and more recently, a coach, and then even from life coach to somatic and trauma coach. So it's really been a fun journey. When we first got together and Leslie came into my world, she had little to no social media experience and was speaking a language to her ideal clients that they could not connect to. This is what I like to call coach speak, right? Or therapist speak. And 6 weeks after following a strategy that we worked on together, she went from 3 clients to 12. And I'm so excited to introduce her to all of you, have her share about her experience, and really share with us like how it has looked going from, massage to life coach to somatic and trauma coach, helping high functioning women to stop abandoning themselves. Leslie, welcome, girlfriend. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Me too. So I first want to start off by asking you, like I mentioned in the intro, you came into our container together with 27 years of expertise in owning your own massage business and an incredibly deep knowledge, not only of massage, but of your craft and of your background with supporting people through the trauma lens. But something wasn't translating, which is why you reached out initially. And I'm curious, I would love for you to take us back to that season and kind of explain in your words what was going on and what do you think was getting in the way from being able to have this connection with the clients you wanted to serve?
When I wound up on your doorstep, I had two things that I could acknowledge. One was that I had no idea what I was doing. Like I was prepared as a practitioner, I was prepared as a coach. But what I wasn't prepared for is what does it look like to gain visibility, to create programs and workshops. Like I knew how to do the one-on-one stuff, but what did it look like for me to build off of what I had learned? The second piece is I walked in very much acknowledging that I was not connecting with my people. Like I definitely, that is, Kaitlin, you made me sound more human and like the girlfriend that you want to talk to instead of this practitioner, because that's really how my brain works, but I wasn't relatable. Like I may have been
Yes.
saying things that were relatable, but they weren't landing on the level of what my client would have been saying or bringing in. So those
Yes.
two pieces, just like that, how many times that you're like, we could do this. I'm like, I've never heard of this. This is amazing. These ideas that and for me, the connectedness and not being in the fight for my business alone was stabilizing.
Yeah. Yeah. I just go back to the conversations in our early days and I'm like, talk to me like I'm 5, Leslie. Talk to me like I'm 5. Because you're so freaking smart. Like you have so much knowledge in your brain and you have spent, and you're a lifetime learner. You love to
Yes.
learn.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, okay, not only are you super smart, but you're very gifted at being able to support the people you are called to support. And I'm like, we have to get them to engage with the Leslie I get to see and
Mm-hmm.
experience. And how do we get them to see this humorous side of you, to your using your words, right? The human side. So it's like, how do we see the humorous side? How do we see the kind of sarcastic, snarky side? How do we see the like, I am going through a hard time and this really sucks. And even though I have the tools, this is still really hard kind of side of you, right? And I just feel
Mm-hmm.
like you have embraced that so much. Something I didn't mention in the intro, but I feel like we would be doing a huge disservice if we did not talk about it, is also when we first started working together, you moved.
I did.
So, like, that was also kind of leaving where you had grown a huge massage base of clients, and you moved
Mm-hmm.
from Ohio to Asheville.
Mm-hmm.
And I would love for you to talk about, because I think this is so important, and there's a through line here. You started that community online
Mm-hmm.
with the pure intention of like, I just want some friends where I'm moving.
Yeah.
Talk about nothing more human than that. So share a little bit about that part of the journey, because that group not only just gave you a few friends, it has exploded and
Yeah.
became something for a really devastating time for many people in your area, which I know we'll get into. But share a little bit about that setting and how you went into that and how that has transpired from you creating that community.
I think for anybody who is a practitioner or in the healing space, I think there's an acknowledgement on some level that some things recognize that they're a calling and not a choice. And my community work is very much an extension of that, because I lived in Cincinnati, Ohio. I had 300 massage clients, as well as working with some NFL players, and was transitioning into coaching because I'm like, what are you going to do after? And, made the decision to go into coaching because so much was restored to me through coaching within my trauma story. That I was rip raring to go, and I wanted to do developmental and relational trauma. I just really like to work with people pleasers and people who with anxious attachments. And so I, being one of those people, when moving from Cincinnati to Asheville, North Carolina, in service of a dream to open a healing farm in Bryson City, North Carolina in the next 10 years, got to Asheville, and let's just be human. I hated my kids. I hated my husband. it was brutal. It was so brutal. And because of our work, I wasn't afraid to put myself out there. And one of the things that was restored to me, because I do have a narcissistic mother, is some of the way that I come across. The reason why I would sound so studious is because I was always too much. And one of the things that you were able to do for me is my too muchness was not too much. It was me. And it was
perfect.
That permission was restored to me. So when I get to Asheville, I'm like, I love wine. I don't know where I'm going. I hate everybody and I don't know anybody. So I threw out there on a Facebook page, "What's up, Asheville? Hey, I want to go out. Who wants to meet for wine?" And 21 women showed up. 21.
I wish I had seen that. I'd be like, that's me. You would have had 22.
Oh my God. 21 women show up at Souther Williams, and we laughed and talked, which that in and of itself is foreign to me, because I have super avoidant attachments with women, and I just have nervousness around friendships. I'm not the only one, I'm finding. And so off of that was born Asheville Women Who Wine, which currently serves 2,600 women. And then I just started another one about 7 weeks ago, Hendersonville Women Who Wine, which is now where I live. And that has almost 600. I think it has 640.
That is so crazy.
Yeah, it is. And I think it's just solving a problem. Is like, why is it so difficult as an adult to have friends? And the other piece is like with the relational trauma piece that I work, it's like, quit being shitty to each other. Like, we've lost our way. How do we find it? Like, just flipping from the word should to could, like, you're making a whole more somatically friendly experience so you guys can find each other. Because literally, when you study the human body, we're meant to be queens communing together. I mean, so much. And so it was so cool, because when I served my community, Hurricane Helene hit 3 months into that. So I moved in June and it hit in September. It became a lot of women who were isolated and by themselves were able to have a community. So it went so much past wine and more into the relational work. And now I have visibility around, because I serve my community. And
Yeah.
I'm very much called to that because I went from 21 to 1,000 in 3 months in Asheville, it was like, oh shit, this might be what I'm supposed to be doing, but I don't like it. It's challenging everything that I learned
Yeah.
from my narcissistic mother. So,
Yes.
and I'm here for it. So,
Yes. And you're such a natural at it, which is so crazy. When you came to the Beam Life retreat, which we're going to get to, I know that was like so scary for you. I
my
was
butt is already
shooketh.
puckering.
Yeah. I was shooketh when you actually bought your ticket. I was like,
Me too.
holy shit. But it so surprises me because talking to you, it's so like you are who you are. You know what I mean? Like you are so just, I'm Leslie, and I know how hard and how much work it has taken to get to this place. And now you're helping thousands of women. And I'm part of that group, even though I don't live there. And what I saw during Hurricane Helene, just people supporting each other, women coming together, women grieving together. I just got full body chills. It's
Same. Hmm.
so incredible, the just movement you've really created. And I think that we also need to talk about how you came in, like, again, with pretty much little to no social media
Mm-mm.
experience.
Mm-mm.
And I know many women listening to this can relate, because I think that that's one of the biggest things. People are like, "You're so good at social media, Kaitlin. How do you do it?" And I'm like, girl, I have been doing this for a really long time, and I still feel like there's so much to learn, and it's something that changes all the time. And unfortunately, it's one of the things that gets in the way of women's confidence because it's visibility, right? Like, and that's what
Hmm.
we've been talking about. So what was that learning curve like for you? And how did you learn to get comfortable showing up as yourself online and then creating these online community groups, which then created to showing up for them in person too? So a lot has come from your confidence and being able to show up on social. And I really want to talk about that.
Yeah. I think it's interesting. I don't know if I've ever explained this to you. Like the people that I work with in myself included, when we have the childhood that we have an undefined sense of self. Like
Mm,
just no acknowledgement. We're just trying to do what other people want of us. And we rarely have defined how we want to show up. So when I went into working with you, I literally didn't know how to post a story. Like I did, she would, and
yeah.
I have tremendous gratitude because you're like, okay, and you send me this video and you have the voiceover. I'm like, yes, this is what I was needing, right? I couldn't even do that. But when it came to showing up like myself, you had fleshed out documents that allowed me to consider carefully what it looked like to show up as myself. So as I'm
Mm,
continuing to do this work, I'm comparing it against who I want to be, how I want to perceive, what my message is. And with that it was a kind of fine tuning and working. And I mean, I really am not, I still like, if you let me nerd out on something, I'm going to give you words you've never heard. Like girlfriend, I love me a big word.
oh,
But
yes, you do. It's those words that when you get in a spelling bee, you're like, no, why?
yeah,
Why'd you do this
no,
to me?
exactly. I like those words.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when it was like, how do I appear? And some of that, I will say, some of that is so that I appear smart, so that
Mm-hmm.
I'm proving myself. And you really helped me understand that actually makes you unrelatable. It makes and that is and no shame to that. We're trying to be translatable so that we can reach our
Yes.
person, we can serve our person. Even if they scroll on by and they just consume one video, how are we showing up to serve them? And
Yes.
insert and that's I think the biggest flip with social media that you gave me is like, who do you want to serve? How are you
Yeah.
serving them through social media? We all scroll through and consume and learn. What are you putting out there
Absolutely.
and how do you want to show up? And for me, that allowed me to define that, which then rolled into the more that I'm working on who I want to be, the more I can show up and what do I need as a leader to show up and be me without trying to be malleable to what people expect me to be. And it's all
Yes.
self-definition. That's the crux of my work, but I had no idea how social media was going to, and trying to serve, the servitude of that would actually help me define who I was and how I wanted to show up and whether or not I was in alignment with that.
Yeah. I'm so in awe right now, just even listening to you talk and hearing how much work you've done in choosing your words. Had we had this conversation a year ago, I'd be like, girl, we aren't presenting to Princeton. Okay. I mean, but everything you just said, like, hit me in the heart because that's where
Yeah.
people are, and myself included. You did it through, smarts and learning and education. When I first got into this business, I thought I needed to carry designer handbags. I thought I needed to show myself flying first class. I thought I needed to show myself, getting massages at five-star resorts. And while I love all those things, that's actually not what makes people successful. And again, talk about not relatable. So many women don't come into this work wanting those things. And that's the core motivator. Does this work lead to that ultimately? Maybe. And is that wonderful? Sure. But it's not why we continue to show up and do the work. And I really got into so much debt my first 2 to 3 years of business, trying to be enough to be qualified to be a coach and think, oh, if I show up this way, someone is going to want to pay me because I'm living a lifestyle that they want. And so what you just said is so relatable. Whether it's through, again, using big words, whether it's through showing up, whether it's through like creating a personality, like hey, I'm this bubbly person when we're really not, the whole thing landed on you sharing at the end, it comes down to alignment. And when we're not in true alignment, it's impossible for people to connect with us.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you
100%.
so much for
100%.
sharing that. I want to get into strategy because a lot of times, at least in my experience, it has been where I have hired coaches and I felt like I was missing some of the strategy piece. And a lot goes into strategy. It's not just like here's step 1, 2, 3. It's the mindset behind the strategy. It's the understanding of why this works versus something else and making it fit your lifestyle. So when I first kind of broke down this 6-week launch, if you will, and getting people into your world and how to talk about it on social and when to do what steps, did it feel naturally like this is going to work, or were there some hesitations? Tell us a little bit about how you sat with that strategy and then ultimately implemented it to get the results you did.
It's so interesting because the strategy as much was born out of what would serve my people. I think the reason the particular strategy that we used and that you had taught to me worked is because I was truly in my wheelhouse talking about anxious attachment and codependency or like the need to be needed. And so what I would say is one of the parts that I knew was exciting about the strategy is we were getting excited, or I was getting excited talking about the things and the little one-liners that I said.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be so serious. And so because you introduced the color and the snarkiness, because that's really who I am, I come off all like, I am not calm. But you get that idea. So when you put together 6 weeks for me, it gave me almost like a riverbank to allow me to flow with the information that felt the best for me. And so, and the other thing that like my mind was when you were like, there's 4 types of posts. There's encouragement, there's education. I'm like, I only know the education posts. Like,
Yeah.
you say more. Like, how do I appear like I want to? So the 6-week strategy allowed for me to geek out within boundaries. And then about the things that are a full body fuck yes, that are just like, yes, this is what I'm called to do and called to serve with. And because I'm not known to do one thing at a time.
Listen, you said it, not me.
I do not do one thing at a time. Like, I'm like, we'll be like 3 weeks into a strategy. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to start another one at week 5. And you're like, no, you're not. Like, it gave me boundaries to not overcommit myself. And in ways that put me back on the schedule and defined for me, one of the things I struggled with all the time was like, did I do enough? And that 6-week strategy gave me a target and a nice dopamine hit when I check that list off, because I think if we haven't defined where we're going, we're like rudderless, like, oh, did that land? Did that land? Did that land? And when I really worked that strategy, it landed, y'all. Like, it landed because she kept me in the riverbanks-ish.
Yeah. So it was yours. It was yours, right?
Yeah.
Like it was it was I say that in quotes, my strategy, but we made it for you so that you had freedom. Because I think one of the biggest things is I attract multi-passionate humans. Like that's just who comes into my world, who loves shiny things. And every 5 minutes are like, but what if I did this? And what if I did that? And I have this idea. And I'm like, all of those are great. But in order to get to that idea, we got to finish this idea, because this idea I know is something that's important to you. And if we keep adding ideas, 1, we're not going to get to serve. And 2, it's going to feel like we're not accomplishing something, right? And so I really love the way you were able to take that and make it yours, which is something I'm very, very passionate about. And it ultimately led to you having a pretty nice bank of clientele. So how did, growing from 3 clients to 12 clients, creating packages that really served people and lit you up to facilitate, how did going from 3 to 12 change your situation? Like what changed for you in your life being able to pursue coaching and grow your business in the way that we did together?
Yeah. The biggest thing that it served was my desire to step out of massage therapy and not be fully bogged down by that. After, I'm now currently in my 28th year of doing this. And at some point, enough is enough. Like, and I was feeling that. And I'm back into a season of massage therapy, but more from a neuroaffective touch, meaning like, how do we create more nervous system safety for people in their body? And so, but at the time that we're talking, I needed a break. And it's like, I needed a hard shift. And it provided that ability to be like, okay, I have choice.
Yeah.
I have choice because the money and the support of money is there, which I can struggle to feel that worth for, which I know you and I work with a lot.
Yep.
It gave me choice back to do as many massages as I wanted to do and to geek out with my trauma gang, and really allowed me to then, even as I worked with people, define even more who I wanted to be as a coach as I geeked out with certain people. So it allowed me choice. And I'm not going to say it wasn't overwhelming. Let's just be human. Like the reality was it was deeply overwhelming. And if I was to say what I wish I would have had with those 12 clients is more structures in place that I knew week 1, I was doing this, 2, I was doing this, 3, I was doing this, but I'm learning and growing all the time. And so that's something that I have created since then. But I mean, reality is I was proud of myself.
Yeah.
Like, I was proud of myself, which that's always hard to do. So
I was going to say that is is an accomplishment in and of itself for someone who has experienced, again, the self-identity that you've had to reestablish as an adult. I mean, I'm in therapy, and every once in a while when when she'll ask me a question, I'm like, I'm proud of myself. I'll instantly start crying. And I'm like,
Right.
ooh, why is that so tender? Why? And it's beautiful. I think that is part of what work you and I both do in different ways, allowing women to feel proud of themselves. And when we can mirror that for ourselves, it becomes magnetic for, everyone else that we get to be in community with. Speaking of magnetic, I do want to talk about community and group before we kind of wrap up, because you and I did one-on-one coaching together. But part of my mastermind that I'm launching is they get to come to a retreat. And you came to the retreat, even though you weren't necessarily in the group program, right? And so I want to hear from your lens why, even if someone, because I've made now the retreat optional, so people can decide to sign up for the mastermind with or without the retreat. In my opinion, it's not optional, but I want to hear from your words. Again, this is unprompted, why someone should choose to, or not, maybe you think they shouldn't choose it, but why someone would engage and what they would benefit from removing themselves from their environment and coming to a place that is safe, like it's a safe place with women to connect. And I'm just curious, I know that was a massive, massive step for you. And if anyone's going to speak to it, it's you.
So I'm going to speak to those that are like, oh my gosh, I could never pull myself out and go and be with women that I don't know. And for someone who has extensive emotional trauma around female relationships, I'm just going to be honest, I was not okay that first night. Like, I cried myself to sleep. I'm just going to own it. But I do community work because I've learned about somatics, which is completely about what you created. Listen, y'all, if you want to be better and more confident in your business, you put yourself next to confident women who want to own and slay business. You have to pluck yourself out. Like, if you want to be successful, hang out with the successful people, how you define it. If you want to deepen your understanding, you need a container to flow, be in feminine flow, and sit next to women who are like, ooh, have you thought about this? Ooh, have you thought about this? That it's not meant to be done alone, life. Life is just not meant to be done alone. And the ability to isolate yourself with female business owners who also have the same experience where, like, shit, I just did this program and it didn't land. You know what I mean? Like, and then and normalizing failure, normalizing showing up, and then reflecting to each other what we see. Like, my nervous system could not handle it. I had to leave early. I just could. I'm just being honest. Let's normalize it. Like, my nervous system, I was like, oh my God, I can't do this anymore. I was away from my kids. I was away from my husband. And it was the single greatest mover towards me allowing myself to geek out about who I want to be, how I want to get there, and all the ideas that these women supported and gave to me. And then afterwards, continue to check in and say, how's that dream doing, sis? And without putting yourself on the limit and putting yourself out there and putting your nervous system next to the safe people that Kaitlin brings in, that you bring in, there's no growth in that unless you put yourself there. And so, and then who doesn't want to be Kaitlin? So I'm like, I'm going to rub elbows with this woman. I do. Just really quick, when I saw you, I had to stare at you because I had only seen you on video for 2 years. I was like, she's human.
I just remember hugging you for the first time. I think that's the other really beautiful thing is physical touch is, I have always said it's not my love language, but I'm coming to find, because both my child and my partner are number one physical touch people, that I'm like, shit, maybe I am too. But it has to be from the right people. It has to be from the right people. And It's like when you embrace someone that you deeply care about, who you've done work with or you've been in community with, and you get to like touch them. OMG. It's like
Mhm.
a rush of dopamine that I've never experienced before. It's so
Mhm.
tender and so magical. And I'm so proud of you. And let's not forget to mention that you then turned around and busted out a retreat of your own not that many weeks later. And I know
Yes.
it's different, right? When you are facilitating versus in it, but still you were moved from the experience. And I know that having a retreat was something you had on your radar, which is another reason you came, right? To experience and see how this could be run and what it could be like. And then you went and mirrored the same thing for another group of women who I'm sure are having similar outcomes to what happened at ours, where they check in on each other and have developed relationships.
Yeah, and I honestly
Mm.
want to say one of the mitigating factors as well was, you're my coach. I knew after this experience, I was going to get to ask you questions. So if you're someone who's interested in hosting retreats, and you go to this and Caitlin's your coach, you then get to continue to say, how would you fine tune this? How would we make this mine? And that felt safe to me. It felt replicatable. It felt like because that's what I want. I wanted to be in it to see what it was like. And then you helped me flip to be the facilitator. Like it was
Yes.
so symbiotic, and hosted my first Embody Her retreat and a somatic retreat and in Chimney Rock, North Carolina, which was also devastated by Hurricane Helene. Please go visit. But like
Yes.
to be there and do that just after, really, it was like 8 weeks after
I
after
know.
I was with you. It was
Crazy.
like, yep, yeah, it worked, but it was amazing. It was amazing, and I had the fortitude to do it, and then also ask you what that looks
Yeah.
like to do it with me. You allow me to be me. I'm not expected to be you, and so you just made me more me in the work that I do.
Thank you for saying that. And I love that you said that too, because I say that and I don't think people believe that. I'm like, I'm not a gatekeeper. I'm not going to be like, sorry, I created that, but now I'm not going to share it with you. Haha, figure
Mm-mm,
it out. Like, that's not the
mm-mm.
way. I'm just like, here's what I did. And here's, if I did it again, what I would do differently because I learned from this experience. So I'm glad that that was something that felt useful to you. And I want to also point out, I think one of the biggest markers for your success is that you are willing to do it messy. And I didn't even have this like in my notes, but it just kind of intuitively came to me to make sure we call out in this episode because so many people get stuck. Again, there's the social media piece. And then I think, I need it to be perfect. What if like something goes wrong? What if this happens? And all of that could happen, but nothing is ever going to happen if you don't ever fucking do something about it.
No.
Right. And you have pretty much done everything like just balls out. I mean, just
Yep.
I'm gonna do this shit. And I don't know what's gonna happen. And even when I'm like, Leslie, we're not ready. Hold on. What do you mean you did this thing? And I'm like, we just talked on the coaching call 20 minutes ago. Um, it's really cool because I admire, and not everyone is wired to do that. And a lot of times
Mm-mm.
it's again going back to your work, it's a lack of safety, but I think sometimes when we come from a trauma lens, chaos is safety. And so that in that instance, it helps us in our business when we
Yeah.
are willing to just say, let's get a little crazy.
Yeah.
Um, I want to ask you as we kind of come to a close here for the women who have stayed this long in this conversation, who are listening right now, who have maybe years of experience in their craft and know that they're good at what they do and just can't seem to get clients to land. And maybe she's even like starting to wonder, like, is this even for me? Is this worth it? What would you say to her?
I think one of the things that you said to me was really helpful about this, because I was also questioning this, is like, how do you find your person? And the reality is, in the billions of people on earth, you're looking for 20. Like, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like, that really made it like, oh, I see what you're saying. You know what I mean? And in reality, all it took was talking like them, and
Yes.
relating in a way that they're like, yes, sis, yes, like that. And you always say, when you would go out with your girlfriends on wine night, like, what
Yes.
would you say about that? And that always helped, because I did lots of wine nights. But like, but the reality is if you're tailoring your message to your people, and it's getting out, and you're getting that visibility, you're looking for 15, in my case,
Yeah.
15 or 20 people. Like, and I
Yep.
was like, well, shit, I could do that. Like, it
Like,
took,
oh, yeah, I could
I
totally
mean,
do that.
and again, it goes back to, and I think this is the gift that you've given me, is the ability to define what success is for me, to define what it looks like to get there, and it not be your journey, it's mine, and you're just supporting and going, might you try this, might you try this, and might you try this, but you're really only getting to 15 or 20 people.
Yeah.
And so, yeah,
That's
it can be that simple, or it might not be.
Yeah, I think that ultimately that's the woman I serve. There are people, of course, who want to build these like crazy, I want millions of clients. And I'm like, but also, do you really want that? And if you do, great. But is that because that's what you think you need to get where you want to go? Or do you want to serve on a level that feels a little more intimate? And there's no right or wrong answer. But I think when we really get down to it, at the very base and core, like truly, like you said, we usually need anywhere between 10 to 50 people. And in a world of 7 billion, that is very, very doable. How can listeners connect with you, find more about your work and all the things? Do a deep dive on Leslie, because I know you have especially so much to offer from, women coming from the lens of trauma and creating this relationship with themselves. So how can they find you?
I on my website, lesliebrooksclc.com, there you'll see my North Carolina community work with Hendersonville Women Who Wine, Asheville Women Who Wine. You'll see I have a group coaching container opening at the end of April, and then one-on-one work always available for people. And on my Instagram, and I'm pretty heavy on Facebook because of the communities, that there's a lot of tidbits on how to reframe in the moment, stay in your body. The idea of how we came to have an undefined sense of self. It's all in there. And yeah, give me a reason to do my job, y'all. Like, I give me a
I love
reason.
it.
I love what I do, and I feel very ready to support and empathize with people so that they're not doing this alone.
I love that so much. And I'll be sure to link all of those things down below in the show notes so you can connect with Leslie. Go say hey to her over on Instagram. And, she's just got such a story that is proof that your expertise is not the problem. The way you're communicating it is. And it is exactly what we fix inside Embodied Earner, my 12-month mastermind for coaches and creatives who are ready to stop being the best kept secret and start getting paid consistently is the key for what they know. Doors are officially open. Link is in the show notes to join us for this round or book a call to chat with me one-on-one for more details. Thank you so much for being here, Leslie. I adore you, and you have also given me so many gifts.
Oh, thank you so much. I love you bunches.